Welcome back to another episode of Bought the Biz. I am solo today as Garth is traveling. And today I wanted to talk about what I took away from the book Toxic Grit. Some of this might be a bit rambling. Garth isn't here to check me on my monologues, but I took a lot of really good pointers and mindsets away from this book on what ambition looks like and what it means to be a woman small business owner. So take a listen, guys. You can stick around too, but probably this one's more for the ladies.
Bought the Biz is a podcast for ETA entrepreneurs who've gone from searching for a business to actually running one. It tells the real story of what happens after the deal closes. The day-to-day, operational, emotional, strategic, and leadership challenges that just don't show up in the highlight reels.
The show is story-driven and practical, sharing real experiences from operators along with clear, actionable takeaways you can use in your own business today.
I'm Garth Fasano.
I'm Christi Loucks. Welcome to Bought the Biz. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bought the Biz. It's just me today. No Garth. He is off at a conference this week. No guests, so you lucky get me with my thoughts. So today I wanted to talk about a book that I read recently, which doesn't happen very frequently these days just because of life and busyness. But at the recommendation of a friend, Natalie, if you're out there, I think you listen to this podcast. I recently read a book called Toxic Grit by Amanda Goetz. And if you haven't picked it up yet, I really recommend it, especially if you are a woman, business owner, especially if you are looking to acquire a business, if you are operating a business. It provided a lot of clarity and just some thought-provoking topics for me. So I wanted to share it today and kind of what my takeaways were because, you know, where I am right now in life, I have a toddler, I'm pregnant, 5 months pregnant, I'm operating 2 businesses, Deal Buff and then Howdy Sales. And over the last, call it 6 months, you know, just saying it out loud, like I have realized I cannot do it all. Like I physically, mentally, emotionally cannot do all the things that I feel that I'm supposed to be doing. And I think for a long time, and even I still get glimpses of it, like I feel that that's failure, that maybe I wasn't cut out for this role. I should go back to a 9-to-5, that, you know, I made some wrong choice along the way. But after reading this book, I realized that none of that's failure. And believing that it is actually, it's actually what happens when I think you've been sold like a version of ambition that was never designed for you or for working moms or even just female business owners and executives in the first place. So that's what I want to talk about today. If you're a dude, you can stick around. Maybe it'll help you get insights into, you know, your partner or your coworker or whatever. But I really want to focus today on, you know, the elements of being a woman small business owner. So that's what we're going to talk about. Garth doesn't get a choice on this, so I've got the mic. All right, so in the book is really centered around this concept of what is called toxic grit. And it's this idea that we've been taught to just do more, push harder, hold it all together. And if you're struggling, well, you know, you just need more discipline, more systems, a better morning routine, do your cold plunge, outsource the rest of your life, like whatever. And I think in the acquisition and search fund world, my sense is that this gets a bit amplified because the whole narrative, right, is find the deal, close the deal, operate the business, grow the business. It's like extremely linear and it's very execute in nature. And like, okay, so here's the thing. I'm not someone who bought into the hustle culture thing and like now I'm waking up from it. That's not my story. My story is that I know how to work. In a former life, I could easily put in 60 hours a week, not think twice about it. And part of me, some days a big part of me, still wants to work that much. I love building things. I love the momentum. I love being like in it. But right now, like I can't. My body is literally growing a human. I have a toddler who needs me. And, not to mention like general household duties. I also have a husband. I have a dog. There's this constant tug of war happening inside of me where one part of my brain is saying, you should be working more. You're capable of more. You used to do so much more. And the other part is saying, girlfriend, like rest, chill. You need to be present, like embrace this temporary season. And I think, after reading this book, I am realizing that like both of those voices are right. That's what makes it so hard. And it's not that one voice is healthy. It's not like the other one is toxic. They're both me. I genuinely want to go harder on my businesses. And in some ways I am. And at the same time, I genuinely want to be present with my family, but I really can't fully do both right now. And that's the tension that Amanda Goetz, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, writes about, right? Where it's not about burning out from like work you hate. It's about the guilt and the pull you feel when you deeply love multiple things and there simply aren't enough hours to like give them all what you want to give them. And I think there's another layer to this where people outside of small business ownership don't fully understand how this applies, like in quote, our world. When you own the business, you are signing up to provide. Like you are taking your fate into your own hands when you decide to start a business, acquire a business, whatever. There's no like salary and benefits showing up every 2 weeks, regardless of how the month went. There's no one above you figuring it out. If the business doesn't work, that's on you. Your family, your employees, your customers, like it all sits on your shoulders. And I don't say that to like belittle working a 9 to 5. I think that comes with its own pressures and trade-offs, but the weight of ownership, it's just different. It's, I think it's personal in a way that's hard to explain until you've really felt it. Like when you're the one who signed the PG and you made the promises and you took the risk and your bank account is smaller than it was, 3 months ago, the idea of just taking it easy for a while feels like very irresponsible. Even when, in my case, like my body and my life in some areas are really telling me to slow down, there's this constant voice in my head that's saying like, you can't afford to because people are counting on you, both immediately, my family, and then everyone else around me. So the tug of war isn't just like, do I work or do I be with my family? It's the business needs me, my family needs me, and both of those feel like life or death some days. That might be a little bit dramatic, but I think that's kind of why this season like feels very heavy. And I guess even, I don't know, like on that note, if I'm being very candid, there is a very loud narrative in the acquisition ETA world about buying a business for the goal of freedom of time. I see it everywhere. Pitch is always about escaping the 9 to 5, being your own boss, setting your own schedule, like working from anywhere. And I think in my experience, that is not how this works. At least not in the beginning, and maybe not for a long time, years and years. When you own the business, you don't have more time. You just have like different time. And that different time comes with a million micro decisions that you have to make, fires to put out, things that only you can handle because you're the one that has to do it. Like you're the person, there's no one else to escalate to. So, like you can build a life with more flexibility eventually. I think that's very real. But the version where you buy a business and suddenly have all this free time, I think is a fabrication or like an exaggeration, right? I mean, I'm running 2 agencies. I'm pregnant, raising a toddler. And I promise you right now, my calendar does not look like freedom. It looks like managed chaos with very little breaks in between. So if you're thinking about buying business, which again, I think you should. I'm not saying all of this to like negate that, but especially if you're a woman, just go in knowing that the freedom isn't free time. Like the freedom is ownership. The freedom is that what you build is yours, and that's worth a lot, and you can get it to the place where you have more free time. But, you know, it's not like you just buy a business and all of a sudden you're working 5 hours a week and cash flowing and money's falling into your pockets. I don't know. I just think like my story, fun fact, I had my son exactly 1 year to the day after I closed on my business. So 365 days precisely. So in the span of 12 months, I went from, I just acquired a company to now I'm responsible for this company and I have to keep this tiny human alive. And like, no one prepares you for that. It's really hard as an operator a new operator to like figure out and have, you know, your hands, your arms around that identity. And then all of a sudden be thrown into a completely new identity as like a brand new mom. You have to do it all on very little sleep. Like I had photos of me breastfeeding and typing on my laptop at the same time. And I'm not saying that to sound tough. I'm not wearing that like a badge of honor. Like, look at me, you know, girl boss, multitasking vibes. It was just reality. Like that was a normal evening. The baby needed to eat. The business needed me. I needed to get emails out, and all of those things were happening at the same time. There's like absolutely nothing glamorous about that. It's just what it looked like. Like I didn't have maternity leave. I owned the business. There's no HR department. It's me. And so I, you know, like I've talked about that a little bit, but I just think that there are roles that we play as women specifically that make this just different and in some ways harder than our male counterparts who I'm not knocking. I just really think that stepping into this role as a female is vastly different, and pretending it's not like doesn't help anyone, including yourself. So what I want to run through, I don't know, that was like a long preamble, but what I want to run through is what I took away from this book, Toxic Grit. Again, highly recommend, even just like do Cliff Notes, buy it, skim it. I don't care. Just, you know, get the gist of it. My takeaways, and I'll kind of dive a little bit more into some of the like concepts, but first of all, you don't have to operate like everyone else to be a real operator. I think I spent a lot of time looking at how other people in this like ETA world were running businesses, how they were running searches, like their days. And I felt like I had to match that. Some days I still feel like I kind of have to match that even from now, like the CEO operator lens. But, you know, at the same time, like I have every day at 4:30 when my nanny and my toddler come back from usually the park or wherever they've been, I get a little face at my, you know, office door. And guess what? I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing and I'm going to say hello and pick him up and, you know, have a little chit chat with him. Even if it's sometimes in the middle of a call, I still pick him up. So being an operator, like the playbook sometimes looks different when you are a mom. And I think it's really important to like embrace that. You certainly can't be like everything all at once. And I think you have to make some really hard choices about where your energy goes. So that maybe is the second piece of it, is really guard your energy and figure out what gets the best of you, and just commit to that. So like right now, my energy goes to my family and my business. That's it. Those are the two things that get my best, or like whatever version of my best for that day is. That means my social life has taken a hit, and I don't like that, but I think it's just the honest truth. Like a lot of women in this season feel that, probably feel guilty about it. Like, I miss my friends. I genuinely do. It's not that I don't care about them. It's not that I never see them. I just don't see them at the same frequency. And yeah, obviously it's not that they don't matter. It's just like, I literally do not have the capacity right now to be the friend I want to be, and the mom I want to be, and the operator I need to be. So something in there has to give. And right now it is like dinner dates and, let's grab coffee and, girls' nights, book clubs, like that kind of stuff. That just doesn't happen anymore. And right now, like, it feels like a loss. It doesn't feel good, but it's the honest trade-off of this season. And I think as I was reading this book, like, I started to really understand, like, okay, just because this is my season where I can't be the friend I want to be, I have to focus on these specific roles, that made me feel a little bit better. Like, it wasn't my full identity saying like, okay, you're a terrible friend. It's just like, no, this is where I am in this season, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm going to be this way forever. Doesn't mean anything has changed about my intent, like my heart, but I just practically cannot be all of these things. So, I guess those were kind of my two like largest tactical, maybe not tactical, but yeah, I guess so. Like, important takeaways just on a day-to-day basis is like, I can only be the operator that I can be in this moment in time with this current context. And I have to be protective of where I put my time and energy, just full stop. So that's my world. But if I zoom out for a second and look beyond and say like, okay, how does this matter for women in the search fund and ETA space? First and foremost, that world is still overwhelmingly male. And that's not because women aren't interested in buying businesses. I just think it's the natural way of how the model works. A lot of MBA folks coming out of their programs wanting to acquire companies. Those are still largely male-dominated spaces. So it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it doesn't always feel like this world was designed with that like woman in mind. So if you think about, okay, let's like think about the traditional search fund timeline. Okay. 2 years of searching, funded by investors. It's all consuming. It's all you do. And then you close, and now you're an operator running a company. So that's like 5, 7, 10-year commitment that, may or may not have a ton of built-in flexibility. And if you're a woman thinking about starting a family, or you already are in that, the timeline just is, maybe more daunting. I don't know. It's just different than if you are a male. So when you don't see a lot of women doing it, you also kind of start to wonder, okay, like, is this the right path for me? And I think that it really can be, because for me, business buying has been one of the most empowering things I've ever done. The flexibility that I do have to own my life, the upside, the ability to build something on my terms. Like, women should be doing this. Women should be in this space. But we also have to be honest, like, what that on your terms might look like, right? Maybe it means a self-funded search instead of a traditional one, so you can control more of the timeline. Maybe it means acquiring a smaller business first, doing some sort of like staged roll-up where you aren't just going like completely all in with, investor backing and a PG day one. I think that those are things to think about when you are considering buying a business, depending on where you are in your, life. So I think probably maybe the last thing I'll mention or talk about that got me thinking, that I think is something for women in search to really consider. Okay, I'm going to try and organize my thoughts around this. So Amanda Goetz talks about this idea that like we're not one person. We have these inner characters. And I think it's, so it's the CEO, the caregiver, the creative, the explorer, the socialite. Might be missing one. And they all have different needs, different goals. And the problem is that we have all of them. And, well, I guess the problem is that it isn't that we have all of them. Like, we all have these parts of us, these characters. That's not the issue. The issue is that we have been kind of trained to believe that we should be running all of them at full speed, like all of the time. And even, in some cases, like, I want to be. It's not that I should be. It's like, I want to be exploring. I love to trail run. I've done ultra marathons. Like, that is a huge part of my identity. But I think when we take a step back and look at all of those pieces of ourselves, there's a place in that where, like, ambition gets very distorted. Women in search are ambitious people. I've never met a lazy woman in search, let's put it that way. But we kind of treat ambition sometimes like it's very one-dimensional. Like, it only means professional achievement, revenue growth, closing deals, selling for X multiple. But I think it's a lot more multidimensional than that if you are a woman. And I'm not saying it's not if you are a man, but like, the genuine truth is that as a female, like, we are the primary caregiver. We have these very big built-in roles that men just simply cannot necessarily step into biologically. So I think that one of the things I really took away too was reframing what ambition meant to me, and really like expanding that to be both in work and in my role as a mother. So there are times when I choose to slow down, I choose to not open my laptop, I choose to wait on an email, because I also have ambitions about being the best mom I possibly can. And if Wyatt wants to sit there and, read Where Do Diggers Sleep at Night for the 17th time, like, I'm going to do it. And I think it just has helped me so much to, like, reframe what that ambition, or like that grit, I guess, as she says, really means. Like, it's not push through no matter what, harder, better, faster, stronger mantra. It's really knowing, like, which part of you needs to lead in this moment, and then having the courage and the patience to let the other parts, like, sit down and chill out for a while. The phrase she uses is intentional imbalance. And I really love that, because it's a conscious choice on what gets more of you right now, knowing it's temporary always, and knowing that the other parts of you will get their turn, whether it's tomorrow or in another, like, 5 years, which might be the case in some spaces. So I don't know. I think that reframe really changed something in me. I am very type A. I'm very just pedal to the metal, go, go, go. I definitely have a sense of urgency around my business. I don't like feeling like I'm leaving growth or money on the table, but I'm also very much choosing to be present for a season of my life that I will never get back. My son is only little like this once. He's learning words. It's like the cutest thing ever. This pregnancy is only going to happen once, maybe once more or forever. We'll see about that. And if, my businesses grow like 30% instead of 50% because I chose to be present for the other parts of my life that I do need to lead in, like, I just don't, that's not failure. So, I guess, if I were to maybe summarize this and then wrap it up here, like, there are probably like 3 to 4 things I'd tell myself before I ever started out on this entrepreneurship through acquisition journeys, that I think maybe are good, like, just things to roll around if you're at that point in your life. Kind of mentioned this. The first one is, like, don't compare your path to people who are living a completely different life. Like, your acquisition journey, your operating journey, your family journey, it's going to look different, and that's not a limitation. I think it's just a fact. So just be aware of that and define it for yourself. 2, definitely have a support system. Like I don't know, there's like a temptation for me to outsource absolutely everything in my life that isn't mission critical. And there are certainly some good arguments to make for that, but look at where you do need to give your energy, look at what you can do to augment the other spaces in your life so that things still get done. And then like get that support system in place. We have an amazing au pair. I have a fantastic husband who does like 95% of the cooking. And like, there are just places where I know that things are getting taken care of so that I can focus on what I really need to focus on when I'm not being those other roles, right? 3, I just think we still need to talk about it more. Like, I don't like to beat the gender drum very much. But I do think that there is a lot of support we can provide each other in this space. You know, if you're feeling burnt out, like if you're feeling like I don't know how to like manage this load, I have some amazing mom CEO friends that I turn to so often just to say, oh my gosh, like, are you feeling this way too? Like, how are you handling this? I just think that like the conversation's important. Like, I don't need to belabor that. And then just, you know, I guess the last thing maybe was just, you know, have a realistic view of what success really looks like for you in this season. And it's not necessarily your P&L. It's also how you're giving your time to the other people and things in your life that you can and need to focus on right now. Like, that is also success. If I can teach Wyatt a new word this week, dude, that's a win. I'm so excited about that. This week he started, it's kind of annoying. It's also kind of cute. I taught him how to, like, after a sip of like water or something, he goes, you know, like it's refreshing. And now he does it after every single drink that he takes, which is, again, very adorable and kind of annoying at the same time. But I just, you know, I look at that and it makes me feel like I'm engaged, like I'm active in his world and in his development. And I consider that to be a success as well. So I don't know if I'll ever get the mic again solo after, you know, Garth hears this, and I just took it down the female rabbit hole here. But, you know, I just really wanted to, it was on my mind, on my heart. And I think I just really wanted to share some of what I learned from that book. You know, just really knowing which part of you needs to lead right now and embracing that. So, thanks for listening. See you next week with my counterpart, and hope everyone has a fantastic weekend.